When the world burned and shadows claimed the sky, I thought I'd die alone, until I found her. An alien beauty with glowing blue skin, trembling beneath torn clothes, her white horns catching the last light of a dying sun. She was terrified, yet she reached for my hand, whispering a single word, "Stay." Now we run through fire, hunted by beasts and worse, our hearts bound by more than survival. Every breath, every touch, every glance in the dark pulls us closer, even as the universe tries to tear us apart. The cavern echoed with the sound of dripping water, each drop striking stone like a slow, measured heartbeat. The human sat against the jagged wall, chest rising and falling with exhausted breaths, the cold air biting through his torn jacket. Across from him, the alien girl stirred in her sleep, blue skin faintly luminous in the dim glow of bioluminescent fungi clinging to the cavern ceiling. Her long black hair spilled around her like dark silk, tangled and damp from the storm they had run through. She wore only a short, tattered garment, barely enough to shield her from the bitter chill, and yet she hadn't complained once, not when the wind cut through the night like knives, not when the mountains threatened to swallow them whole. She had followed him here, through fire and ruin, because she believed in his promise, that he wouldn't leave her behind. His hand trembled as he reached for the crude fire he had built from damp wood. The embers spat and cracked, barely clinging to life. Heat rose only faintly, not enough to warm either of them. He looked at her, at the way her shoulders shivered, at the way her curled form fought against the cold, and something inside him ached. He slid closer, careful not to wake her, and draped what little remained of his jacket over her small frame. The fabric barely covered her, yet the moment it settled, her trembling eased. Her soft breath escaped her lips in slow, fogged tendrils, and her horns, curved, white as bone, caught the faint firelight like polished ivory. She looked otherworldly, beautiful, fragile in a way he hadn't expected when he first saw her chained in that raider camp. She stirred again, eyes opening, teal irises glowing faintly like mist over deep water. She blinked, disoriented, before her gaze found him. "You're still here," she whispered, voice raw with exhaustion, but layered with something more, something uncertain. Fear? Hope. A strange, aching mix of both. "Of course I'm still here," he said softly, leaning closer so his voice wouldn't echo too loudly in the cavern. "I told you, I'm not leaving you. Not tonight. Not ever." Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to speak, but couldn't quite find the words. Instead, she shifted, hesitant, almost wary, before leaning her head against his shoulder. Her skin was cool against his, smooth yet faintly trembling. The simple weight of her leaning into him sent a rush of warmth through his chest, a warmth he couldn't explain. Not here. Not in this place where survival should have been his only focus. But still, he couldn't deny it. He wrapped an arm gently around her, not tight, just enough to keep her steady, and felt her exhale against his neck. The warmth of her breath, soft and hesitant, made his own catch in his throat. For a moment, neither of them spoke, just breathing, listening to the storm outside rage against the mountain, knowing this fragile pocket of safety could collapse at any moment. Finally, she whispered, so softly it was almost lost to the wind, "They would have killed me. Or worse. And yet, you came for me." He swallowed, fingers tightening faintly against her arm, not possessive, just grounding. "I couldn't stand by. I saw what they were doing, how they looked at you, and I couldn't walk away." Her eyes lifted, studying him, not just his words, but his face, his breath, the way his jaw tensed like a man holding back more than he could say. Slowly, she reached up, tentatively, her fingertips brushing the side of his neck. It wasn't seductive, not deliberate in that way. It was something deeper, testing reality, testing the warmth of someone who had chosen her life over his own safety. Her hand dropped back to her lap, trembling faintly. "I don't understand humans," she admitted softly. "But I want to." A gust of cold wind seeped through the cavern's mouth, making her shiver again. Without thinking, he pulled her closer, her small frame fitting awkwardly yet naturally against him. Her chest rose sharply at the sudden contact, her breath catching, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she let out a slow, shaky exhale and rested her forehead against his collarbone. He could feel the faint tremor of her heartbeat, almost in sync with his own. Slow, fragile, alive. For a long time, neither spoke. The fire crackled, faint and weak, but the warmth between them grew, something raw and unspoken, building like the storm outside. Then she whispered, almost too quietly to hear, "Will you stay with me? Even if the storm breaks? Even if tomorrow brings worse?" His jaw tightened. His mind should have gone to logic, to the dangers, the hunger, the fact that they had no clear way out of the mountains. But instead, he looked at her, truly looked. At the faint bruises along her arms, at the way she clung to the smallest sign of safety, at the soft gleam in her eyes that wasn't just gratitude, it was fear of losing him. And in that moment, the decision wasn't hard. Yes, he said, low and steady. I'll stay, no matter what comes. Her breath caught, a small sound, almost like a quiet sob, and she leaned into him fully, closing her eyes. He held her carefully, like something precious and breakable, his fingers brushing lightly along her arm. Not lingering, not crossing lines, just enough to let her feel he was real. That he wasn't going to vanish with the dawn. Hours passed. The storm raged on. But in that cave, two unlikely souls sat pressed together, sharing warmth, sharing breath, sharing something neither fully understood. And when sleep finally claimed them, leaning against each other, hearts beating close, the vow between them remained, unspoken yet unshakable.